Okay, now to something completely different. So there are currently about 6,000 languages that are spoken in the world, but with the exception of a few well-studied languages, we actually know very little about them. So in this project, we are studying linguistic properties of languages, but we are doing that without having seen a single word in any of these languages. So how is it possible? It turns out that we can infer linguistic properties of languages from the way native speakers of these languages are using English as second language. So let me give you a concrete example. These are a few sentences from an ESL essay, that is English as second language essay, that were written by a native speaker of Russian. So let's read out the first sentence. In your ad was said that in main role would be Danny Brook. Now this sentence, and in fact the remaining sentences in this example, are not what you would call proper English. But if we direct translate these sentences word by word into Russian, they sound perfect. So well done there. And this is an example of a process that's called cross-linguistic transfer, where structure and knowledge of the native language is applied in the context of a newly learned foreign language. And I'm sure you're all familiar with this, either firsthand or by interacting with learners of English. So transfer can happen on different levels of linguistic performance. Here we're focusing on transfer of structure. So we're abstracting away from this word-to-word translation that you've seen before, and we're focusing on the structural properties of the native language, which in general we refer to as typological properties. So some examples for such properties are word order, does the language have articles or not, how to form negation, and so forth. And what we do in this project is reverse engineer this impact of native language typology on second language usage by starting with syntactic and morphological features in ESL and using them to obtain back the typology of the native language. So to give you one example of the results that we can obtain using this method, on the right you see a language tree, or maybe you see a language tree that represents similarities between languages according to their linguistic properties. On the left, you have a similarity tree between languages according to the way native speakers of these languages are using English. And the cool thing to bear in mind is that the tree on the left was obtained entirely from English without access to any knowledge about any of these languages. So there is more results related to this line of research and more ongoing projects. And again, I invite you to take a look at the papers below.